So, I never intended to talk on Ferguson, and admittedly, I'm willfully ignorant about what's going on in Ferguson. I know that I find it to be a very sad and fundamentally unjust event. But I'm going to tell you a story that might enlighten you a little bit on how these events are and maybe give you a good way to think about them. So, there's this experiment where people or researchers take rats, and rats are beautifully and wonderfully social and empathetic towards one another and towards other species as well. Um, in fact, if one rat gets out of his cage, he's going to try to find a way to free his other buddies, the other rats, before he leaves. That's how empathetic they are. So, if you take a group of rats and you put them on a hot plate and you increase the temperature, the rats will quickly find the weakest among them and kill it. And they'll repeat this process over and over and over until the last rat finally dies alone. And the problem there is the hot plate. It's not the rats. The rats are fine. People aren't any different. In fact, probably all mammals, or at least social mammals, are this way. It's survival of the fittest for the longest. When there's something making us all miserable that we don't understand, we find the weakest among us, or the conflict starts inside our group. That instinct kicks in, and we start, trying to fight out which one is going to survive for the longest. And you can really see this in instances like, if a company is downsizing their labor force, you'll see people, no pun intended, ratting other employees out and trying to get other people fired first, And you can also see, in that instance, you can see a direct relation to, if this person's out of the picture, then there's more space for me. But it goes deeper than that. It's not just survival of the fittest, it's also survival of the fittest for the longest. So even when everyone's screwed, the strong are going to prey on the weak. But it's not that way. It certainly isn't that way when there's not a hot plate, when there's not something making everybody miserable. So think on that. Look for the bigger fundamental underlying problem that will explain why instances of conflict and violence like Ferguson keep happening. And you might be surprised, but I think you'll probably, unfortunately, I'm sorry now, I think you'll probably just get depressed every time you keep hearing it. So, thanks for that, and I might talk more. Who knows?